All right, now let's get back to that landmark ruling. A California jury found Meta and YouTube liable for designing apps that harmed kids and didn't warn them about the dangers.
And the decision could set a precedent for hundreds of other cases working their way through the courts. Joining us now is Dr. Ashley Maxey-Moorman, a licensed clinical psychologist and assistant professor. Doctor, thanks for being with us, and we'll get right into it. Your focus is on online harms and digital mental health. Based on that, your research, do you believe this ruling is correct in the way you see social media impact young minds?
Yes, thank you guys for having me. And absolutely, this judgment indicates a really huge shift in how we're holding these giant tech companies accountable. And we already know from research, growing research, that platform features like algorithms, notifications, and the engagement-driven designs really increase vulnerability with regard to brain development and mental health for our kiddos.
And speaking of the impacts, of course, this verdict is bigger than just this one case. In what ways specifically have you seen social media impact young people?
Absolutely. I mean, it spans across the developmental age range. So we're talking kiddos as young as 3, 2, 3, through the 5 and 6 age range. Are having difficulty disengaging from their tablets. We know from preliminary research that this exposure or increased screen time and even exposure to short form content might impact their attentional capacity and their behavior. And then also we know for our older kiddos that the type of content that they're exposed to might contribute to low self-esteem, trauma, anxiety, and depressive symptoms like the young woman in this case. There are all sorts of other types of harm that could occur online, but we know that it's affecting our children and teens across the age range.
Yeah, you mentioned that young woman, 20 years old, said this impacted her as a child. You know, I'm sure there's so much, Dr. You see that we don't know. We do know, we have seen social media companies roll out more protections for users, specifically teen users. Based on that, what types of changes would you like to see on social media platforms to better protect those young people?
I think it just boils down to these social media companies changing their motivations. Right now, they're motivated by money. They're trying to monetize the increased engagement and use information online as well. And so I know that companies are driven by money, but we also have to be thinking about these long-term effects and how they are going to impact the next generations. And so if these things are negatively impacting our youth, then we need to be designing these apps to support youth development rather than harm or undermine it.
All right, Dr. Maxey-Moorman, thank you so much for joining us to share your insight. And I know we're going to hear more about this ruling in the days and years to come. Well, let's get over